Support for WCBU's On Deck comes from Jaguar Land Rover Peoria on Allen Road. Special offers available on nearly every new Jaguar with personalized service throughout purchasing and ownership. Jaguar, a proud luxury and performance brand. More at jaguarlandroverpeoria.com.
The city of Pekin is working to refine its approach with the homeless, including use of a social worker and a new ordinance. That's just one of the things you'll want to hear about to start your day for Monday, August 12th. I'm Colin Shope, and this is WCBU's On Deck. First on deck today, new progress on the construction of a new building for the East Peoria Police Department. Last year, when the city approved an engineering contract for the new station, the source of funding was still up in the air. Police Chief David Catton says he's enthusiastic about the city's plan to use $20 million in general obligation bonds to fund the project.
The best part of it all, there's no tax dollars, property taxes going in this. This is going to be bonds, and this is going to be paid through the bonds are going to be paid through the development of the apartment complex next to City Hall.
Catton says building a police department is expensive, but the city is investing in public safety. Among the long list of reasons he cites for a new building, lack of space, safety and evidence processing areas, and a new community room are near the top. There's also the matter of the train track crossing just outside of the current building.
It has hindered us because of the traffic increase in flow there and not a good in and out of our current police department, and then the railroad tracks blocking our path, and usually us having to go around if we're coming from the station.
Catton doesn't foresee any similar issues with the new location on Camp Street. The project is expected to go out to bid in September and open in spring 2026. Here are some other stories we're following in the WCBU newsroom. State regulators have approved OSF Healthcare's plans to add surgical and intensive care beds at its Peru hospital. And Central Illinois election officials don't want misinformation to keep voters from the polls in November. Plus, the Illinois Supreme Court has formally appointed a Northern Illinois judge to the appeals court for the district that includes much of Western and Central Illinois, including Tazewell and Peoria counties. You can find more of these stories and all the details at WCBU.org. Pekin officials remain committed to the approach of using a social worker for outreach with the city's unhoused population. They say a new policy prohibiting homeless encampments on public property is actually a tool to help individuals find a path to stable housing. WCBU's Joe Deacon reports.
Social worker Misty Cave says during her time working with the Pekin Police Department, they've made strides in assisting the people staying in the handful of camps along the Illinois River.
The majority of the success that I've seen out of this population here in the last year, it really happens much more rapidly, much more quickly when they gain regular access to food, laundry, and shower services. And so getting into a routine that gets them out of the camps and into the shelters, into the day shelter and the evening shelter, we see progress happen so much quicker when they make that move.
Last month, the Pekin City Council passed an ordinance prohibiting unauthorized camping on public property, as well as the storage of personal possessions. The move follows a U.S. Supreme Court decision permitting such an ordinance. Pekin Police Chief Seth Ranney says the ordinance isn't meant to make things harder for those people facing difficult circumstances.
What we've been doing for the last year post-ordinance, nothing changes. We're going to continue to do what we do. The ordinance was never intended as a punitive measure. It just gives us the legal authority to go on public property and remove structures.
Ranney says they haven't yet started clearing out camps, but they have started contacting people at the campsites to let them know what's coming.
What we're currently doing is going out like we have for the past year or so, making contact with our individuals that are experiencing homelessness or are in an unhoused status, letting them know about the ordinance, educating them on what our plan is as far as moving forward. And we're just giving them notice that eventually we're going to be coming down there, that we will be removing structures, but we're working with them on coordinating services and any assistance that they may need to try to get housed.
Pekin City Manager John Dawsey says the move to prohibit homeless encampments is a matter of public safety.
Our concern is the health and sanitation issues that it causes right now. I mean, you go to some of these campsites, I mean, you have, in essence, raw sewage that's there, and it's the garbage and the infestations and things that come with it. That's of a concern to the homeless person themselves as well as the community.
Misty Cave says many of the individuals at the camps have already started to relocate on their own.
I try to go out to the encampments at least 2-3 times a month. And it did appear to me when we were out last Friday that there was movement. There were people that had already packed up some of their stuff and moved it to storage or other storage options. And there were other agencies as well that I had made known to them that had offered to help with packing, moving, transporting. So there are agencies in and around the area that have reached out to me and said, hey, listen, I've got bodies, I've got people that are willing to help if that's what they're needing. And so they were given a heads up about that so that they could take advantage of those kinds of resources, but a lot of them had already started doing that.
Chief Franny says they've been coordinating with the Pekin Outreach Initiative and the Salvation Army and encouraging the individuals from the camps to utilize the shelters operated by those organizations.
We've been working with them over the last couple of weeks especially, and they will house any individual that we would be making contact with when we're taking down the encampments. They have plenty of space for them.
Ranny says the intent of the ban on campsites is not to criminalize homelessness, but rather to help individuals improve their situation. He says issuing fines for violating the ordinance to people with limited ability to pay them would only be a last resort.
We just want to get back to being able to strike what I feel is a happy medium between the citizens, the businesses, and the people that are experiencing these hard times. We got to do our best to work together. We are one community. And if we do that, we will do our best to try to get everybody so everybody feels safe, everybody's in the best place that they can be.
Ranny says if necessary, the police department will be able to help individuals with storage of their belongings. For WCBU's On Deck, I'm Joe Deacon.
Now, before we let you go, Big Picture Peoria's mural map launches this week. Take a self-guided tour of all of the greater Peoria area's breathtaking public murals using the map at bigpicturepeoria.org/murals. And that's all for today. You can subscribe to WCBU's On Deck podcast on the NPR app, Apple, Spotify, or YouTube Music.